Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk. My name is John, and today here on the channel, we're going to be talking about 1992's Juice and its 4K Steelbook that came out from Paramount. So the reason why we're actually going to be re-reviewing Juice here on the channel is Juice was actually the first 4K Blu-ray that I ever reviewed here on the channel 2 years ago. So in celebration of the 2-year anniversary of Let's Talk Entertainment and Media, I decided, you know what, let's go back, re-review Juice. I was really not that happy with that review. It was my first solo review, but as far as the film goes, like I said, I would give it overall, for my first time experiencing it, I would give it an 8 out of 10. I felt like I was all over the place. I felt like I sounded like an idiot. So we're going to do this all over again. And let's start it off with the guy who directed this movie, Ernest Dickerson. Ernest Dickerson was the cinematographer for Spike Lee for a very long time, all the way up to 1992's Malcolm X. That means he shot not only Malcolm X, but he also shot Do the Right Thing, School Days, so he shot all of Spike Lee's early hits, and then after that, he went on to direct movies himself, and the first one he ever did was Juice. So he came out of the gate swinging. This is actually only the second time I've ever seen Juice. The first time I ever saw it was for that review. And I wasn't really too familiar with Ernest Dickerson's directorial work. I was aware of Demon Knight and Bulletproof, I just didn't know that he directed it at the time.
You're a piece of shit, you know that, Keith.
I actually really enjoy both of those movies for different reasons. I think they're both more comedies, while Juice is a straightforward, Ernest Dickerson was going for it, noir film. I don't really think it hits those classic noir heights, but the movie does start out in one place and it ends in a completely different way with a lot of different twists and turns. This movie stars Omar Epps as Q, a kid who has aspirations to become a big-time DJ in Harlem, New York. He has 3 friends. One of them is played by Tupac Shakur, who plays probably the main antagonist of this film, Bishop. And Q is conflicted. He really wants to be a great friend to these guys, but he feels like these guys are holding him back in his career aspirations. But you know what? He's loyal to them. They're his friends. Even Bishop. We start to see those little cracks in his system at the beginning of this movie. We see all 4 of these kids waking up, starting their days. We get to see all of their family lives, but we see that Bishop's family life is a little bit darker than everybody else. We see that he's being raised by his grandparents, but his father is there. His father's just parked in front of the TV. He's just staring blankly into it. We find out that he's been traumatized by prison, and this really plays a huge part in Bishop's life going forward. He refuses to go to prison. He does not want to go to jail. He's afraid of it. He's seen what it did to his father, but of course the problem is that Bishop has a dark streak in him. We spend the first half of this movie just building these characters up, their friendship, and then about the second half of the movie, and this is going to be spoilers for the rest of the film because I do want to talk a little bit about the ending and what Ernest Dickerson originally intended for the ending to be, and how it ties into the rest of the story, and how the ending that we actually got on film really betrays the character of Bishop, because halfway through this movie, Bishop and the boys decide they're going to hold up a convenience store. They know the guy who's running it, and they think it's going to be an easy in and out, and it should have been, but unfortunately Tupac's Bishop decides to shoot and kill the clerk.
I shot the clerk.
Yes, when did you shoot him?
I shot the clerk.
And this really sends him down a dark, dark, dark path. From this point on, Bishop is the antagonist of this film. He has to be in complete control. He sees himself as somebody who's never going to amount to anything anyway, so he's just a loose cannon out there. He's killing a bunch of people, his friends. It doesn't really matter. He's just on a dark, dark path. Q sees this happening, and it's funny because, well, it's not really funny, but Bishop tries to frame Q for all of these murders, even going as far as to tell Samuel Jackson, who pops up in this movie, him and Queen Latifah are probably the 2 biggest stars in this movie, because Ernest Dickerson, he originally intended for this movie not to have big-time actors in it. Obviously, Omar Epps became a big-time actor, but Tupac at the time, he was only in the digital underground.
Tupac, go ahead and rock this.
Now I clown around when I hang around with the underground. Girls used to frown, say I'm down when I come around.
So this is way before he actually became the Tupac we know. And Tupac was really trained in the arts, and you could just see his commitment to this character. Bishop is the standout performance in this movie. He is a dark, dark character with an edge that we really do come to understand what he is living for and why he feels like he has to do what he has to do. We understand it despite the fact that he is a cold-blooded murderer in this movie. And that, of course, builds up to the end of this movie, and this is what I was talking about. Ernest Dickerson originally intended for the very end of this movie, Tupac falls off the edge, and Omar Epps' Q is holding him, and it seems like he's trying to pull him back up, not let him go, but unfortunately he does let him go, and he ends up screaming and falling into that black abyss.
Can't hold on, man.
Now, the original intention of this movie was for Q to be the one to kill himself and not scream at all, because you know what? He's not going to jail. He refuses to go to jail. He'd rather die, and he's the one who lets himself go and fall to his death.
Come on, man.
And the studio said, unfortunately, if you want this movie to come out and you want us to promote it the way you want us to promote it, you're going to have to change the ending and make it seem like Tupac wasn't the one who wanted to die. He wanted to live. And unfortunately, Q just lost his grip on him. And, you know, Tupac also felt like that would be a complete betrayal of the character. And if you know this character throughout the entire film, that would betray his character. He doesn't mind dying. He's never been afraid of dying. He even says that numerous times. He even says he refuses to go to jail.
I ain't going to jail. Come on, B, man, don't poke out on me now.
It would make more sense to him when he's finally against the cops, where he would have to either die or face the music, and unfortunately he'd rather just die, and that makes more sense for his character. So the way that they portrayed it in the film is a complete betrayal of his character. And then of course that leads to Omar Epps coming down, and we get the other character saying him.
You got the juice now, man.
And that's a great way to close out this film. But I do agree with Ernest Dickerson. They did kind of betray that character, unfortunately, at the very end. I don't know if too many people take too much notice of it. It's a very quick scene, but it did really stand out to me the first time I saw it. Then hearing Ernest Dickerson talk about it, it really does feel like maybe they should have gave us a director's cut with that ending in it, because I think it would be a more satisfying ending to this film, which I think overall is a really, really, really good film. It's not the greatest film I've ever seen, but it's very well acted, very well directed. But of course, we have a cinematographer in charge of shooting this film, so that means, you know what, it's a beautiful looking movie. Love how Harlem looks back in the early 1990s. New York City in the early 1990s looks absolutely gorgeous. The music in this movie, of course, is great. The soundtrack is great for this film. It's kind of like time traveling back to the early 1990s and seeing what New York City looked like at that point. I was born in New York in the early 1990s, actually in 1992, so this is what the world looked like when I was born into it. And it's just really fun to get those nostalgic feelings of that world while watching this, while also telling a really good dark tale about Harlem and a bunch of kids who live in it in the early 1990s. I think this is a fantastic film that you should check out, even if you don't check out this 4K Blu-ray that we're going to talk about right now.
Sip the juice. I got enough to go around. And the thought takes...
Well, here it is, the Juice 4K Blu-ray that came out from Paramount on January 11th, 2011. And I think I was way too nice to this 4K at the time. I was really getting my feet wet in 4K Blu-ray reviews. It was my first solo review. So I think I was just too nervous. I didn't have the lingo down yet. And I just didn't really know too much about 4K Blu-rays and the technology behind them just yet. So I think I was too nice to the 4K Blu-ray, mainly in the visuals department. But before we do that, let's look at the packaging. I opted for the Steelbook at the time. I thought it really was a lot nicer than the slipcover version. I really do like the exterior artwork on this. I think they did a great job on it. And one thing that should have disappointed me at the time, and I didn't bring it up, this was only a one-disc set at the time, which means we get no pack-in Blu-ray. So this 4K Blu-ray is going to include all of your extras, all of your audio tracks, and there are not many audio tracks. In fact, there is only one English DTS HD 5.1. You get a commentary track, you get some subtitles, but I've always said that Paramount, when they release their 4K Blu-rays, they usually give us so many different audio tracks in different languages, so many different subtitle options. I always say how good they are with their accessibility options. Unfortunately, it looks like they just took this movie off. There is nothing. All you have is that English DTS HD 5.1, and it's not a great one at that. It's actually very, very disappointing in my opinion. This is one thing in my previous review that I actually brought up, was the audio is just not that great. The hip-hop tracks, they come in pretty good, but not that great. For a DTS HD 5.1 track, this really should have been so much better. For a movie like this that is dialogue heavy, but with a great score and great licensed tracks in here, you would think that this would be really concentrating on the audio. And we've seen Paramount use Dolby Atmos tracks in the past. It's very strange that they opted for this audio track. Really average at best DTS HD 5.1 track. It really, really disappointed me. There's a lot of ways this could have been a great DTS X track, a great Dolby Atmos track, and even better DTS HD 5.1 track. So they really cut corners when it came to the audio. Now the extras, I was really nice to the extras the first time around, and I'm going to be really nice to the extras on this time around. I really do enjoy the extras. You get some great behind the scenes interviews. There are a bunch of featurettes that if you would have edited them together, it would have been about an hour 20 minute documentary, and I would have preferred that. But you know, they like to make it look like there's more on here than there really is, but still, those featurettes are awesome. Great interviews with pretty much everybody, but the one that really stands out to me is the interview with Ernest Dickerson. He really tells you everything you need to know about this film, all his ideas, who he talked to, all the producers that he talked to, and how he got this movie funded, his original ideas for the movie, how the studios wanted to change this movie, how they changed the ending. Absolutely love all of those featurettes. So the extras are still great. The only thing you can complain about is, you know, we didn't really get too much on here, but still, what we got are all great extras. Now, the visuals. This is where I realized I made a mistake the first time around. First of all, the original aspect ratio of the film is 1.85, but it's going to be presented to you in the 1.78 aspect ratio. So it's always strange when they change the aspect ratio for the disc. We can actually give people now the original aspect ratio. You know, back in the day, we couldn't really do that because TVs didn't match up, but now we have these super widescreen, super huge TVs. We can give people the original aspect ratio. So it's always strange to me when I see a 4K Blu-ray change the aspect ratio for the 4K Blu-ray. It's not the pan and scan days, so we don't really need to do that, but I'm very confused as to why they made that choice for this one. And as far as the visuals go, we do get HDR10 and Dolby Vision. I thought the Dolby Vision was slightly better than the HDR10, but the HDR10 was a little bit steadier. So the biggest problem with the visuals is there's certain scenes in this movie where it just becomes very unbalanced. It doesn't sustain the image enough. We'll get just certain scenes where the grain overwhelms the scene. Now, grain is important for 4K Blu-rays. You want grain. You do not want DNR where they wipe it clean and everyone's skin looks waxy. No, you don't have that issue with this movie. The skin all looks very natural. You know, the grain that's really there for the most part is good, but there are certain scenes that are going to stand out and they're going to look pretty bad in my opinion. It was actually pretty disappointing in certain aspects of this movie where you'll notice that and you're just hoping that it'll correct it in the next scene, and it usually does. Like in the early third of this movie, there really were no issues. It was really in the middle part of this movie, and then as we get closer to the end, you'll notice those unsteady scenes, and they just kind of drag the rest of the visuals down because visually, this movie, for the most part, it looks great. The colors on all their clothes will pop out at you. Like I said, the skin all looks natural. The environments all look pretty much realistic. There are points where, you know, if you look at the sky, it might look a little bit off, and that's kind of part of the color correction issues with this one. So really, I was too nice to the visuals the first time around. They really are not the greatest. There are moments of perfection in here. It's still probably better than it's ever looked in the past, but there are just moments of unsteadiness that kind of drag this down from being what could have been an amazing 4K visual to being just an average at best with moments of just perfection mixed in there. So overall, I think I was a little bit too nice to this on the first time around. It's really not the greatest 4K Blu-ray release. We don't get a pack-in Blu-ray, so everything is going to be on that 4K Blu-ray disc. The visual upgrade, you know, I can't compare it to anything in the past because this is the only way I've ever seen the film, but the visual upgrade, I'm sure, is pretty damn big in my opinion, but it's still not a great 4K visual. The audio is pretty damn disappointing in my opinion. The extras are great, it's just not that many of them. The packaging is probably the best thing about this. I really love this 4K Steelbook. If you have that slipcover version, the slipcover looks nice, but I've never seen it in person. But if you got this 4K Steelbook, it is really nice. If you can still pick it up, I still think it's a great 4K Steelbook. I wish Paramount did individual disc design because there is an opportunity in here to make that 4K disc look like a record, since this movie is so involved with hip-hop culture. Would have made a lot more sense, but Paramount likes to give us their 4K discs in black and their Blu-ray discs in blue. They will never sway from that. 2 years ago, they were doing that, and they're still doing that to this very day. They're never going to change their ways. I wish they would, but, you know, that's really a minor complaint. I'm sure not too many people care about individual disc design, but as a fan of that artwork, I would have absolutely loved that. So overall, how would I rate this in 2023? First time around, I didn't even put a score on it. I have no idea what I was thinking. But if I was going to rate this here in 2023, I would give this 4K Blu-ray an alright 7 out of 10. I was definitely too nice the first time around. It's a good 4K Blu-ray, but it's not a great 4K Blu-ray. You can see where Paramount cut corners, so I can't give it a great grade overall. But it's also Monday, and that means it's time for me to kick it over to Future John for this week's Digital Code Giveaway. That is correct, Past John. It is time for the Digital Code Giveaway. In every single video that we put out on Friday, we ask you guys 2 Digital Code Giveaway questions. All you got to do is answer one of those in the comment section below. As long as you do that, you come back to this video right here every single Monday. We put your name on a magic wheel. We spin that bad boy 2 times. The 2 names it lands on, they have their choice of the digital codes that you've seen on your screen before you today. And this week I asked you guys, what was your favorite movie of 2023 and what was your least favorite movie of 2023? And both of them actually had runaway winners. Oppenheimer was apparently most of your guys' favorite picture of 2023, and actually Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey was the least favorite picture for a lot of you guys. And honestly, that's one I haven't seen, mainly because everybody has said how atrocious it is, but I kind of want to check it out now because so many of you guys picked it and see for myself how bad this movie really is. And I guess we could expect expect a lot of that this year with Steamboat Willie, the original Mickey Mouse from 1924, which just went into the public domain. We already got, what, 2 movies announced and a video game? So I guess we can expect more of this going forward. You just wish they put a little bit more effort in, but it's really just about being the first, not the highest of quality, unfortunately. That's just the way the world works. But I do still kind of want to check this one out. Is that a little strange? I don't know. I just kind of want to see it for myself. I looked bad from the trailer, so I kind of avoided it, especially once everybody said, yeah, this movie, it's just absolute dog shit. So I'm really glad that I haven't seen it, but I also am very curious about seeing it. But anyway, I'll keep rambling on, so let's spin this magic wheel and see who our 2 lucky winners are. First wheel spin coming up.
Whoa, taking the elevator, going up. Got a lot of ground to cover, and I'm in love with this good life. Can't give it up. Make it to the top, keep climbing. I wanna live it up. The good life. I'm coming up, I'm coming up.
The Mystery Blu-ray Collector. Alright, Mr. Mysterious, we're gonna remove you. Spin again.
Whoa, taking the elevator, going up. Got a lot of ground to cover, and I'm in love with this good life. Can't give it up. Make it to the top, keep climbing. I wanna live it up. The good life. I'm coming up, I'm coming up.
Samuel Goldstein. Alright, congratulations to the Mysterious Blu-ray Collector and Samuel Goldstein. This is both of your first wins, I believe. Maybe the Mysterious Blu-ray Collector has won all the time. I'm not 100% sure on that. But I know for you, Samuel, you've only been entering for a short time and you already got your first W. So this is how it works. Reach out to me at my email address, letstalkentmt@gmail.com. Let me know which of the digital codes you want. As long as the other winner didn't take it, that digital code is all yours. And if you don't want to reach out to me by email, we also have a Twitter/X, a Facebook, and Instagram. You can direct message me there as well and let me know which of the digital codes you want. And again, as long as the other winner doesn't take that code will be all yours. And if you guys didn't win this week, don't feel too bad about it. We will be doing this all again this Friday. Look for my review for Frank Rodriguez, our channel director's choice review for this month. He wants me to review The Dark and the Wicked, and that's what we'll be talking about in this Friday's video, and that's where this week's digital code giveaway will be. And if you guys want to continue to support Let's Talk, the best way to do that is just by liking this video, subscribing to the channel, turning notifications on, because that does really help. And if you want to take your support to the next level, like my 3 producers, John Doe Juggalo, Jason Martin, and Nocturnal, you guys can do that, or you can even become a channel director like Frank Rodriguez. They have their choice reviews each and every single month. You also have access to a private conversation with me. You don't have to take advantage of that, but it is available to you. And we have a Friends of the Channel tier. We really appreciate everybody who's under that tier as well. We appreciate everybody who supports this channel. If you got no money to throw our way, we don't mind at all. We really just appreciate you guys checking this video out. We hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, we just want you guys to get out in those streets, tell your friends about us, and then after you're done doing all that, we'll be seeing you around.